Okay, looks like we are straight up on the hour. So I just want to welcome all of you who have chosen to join us today for the live demo. Today we are covering how to manage the client's ratings and favorites across the IPS and the client galleries. My name is Michelle Keenan, for those of you who do not know me. And so I've been doing these weekly, so you might, if you've joined some other live demos, then you would recognize me. So we're going to go through that. There is a lot to cover. So if you do have some questions, just pop that in the chat, and Jeff Locklear and Amy Drum will try to manage that, and myself as much as possible. So we'll kind of break in between to make sure that we answer all of those questions for you. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. I do want to kind of tell you the key idea with the ratings and the favorites is to kind of manage your clients' ratings and favorites across an event. So whether it's an IPS session or whether it's a client gallery, wherever you begin with that journey, we want to make sure that we are recording all of the actions taken within those sales. So I'm going to get started. I'm going to turn off my camera and share my screen. We have several coming in here, so let me get that shared. Okay. All right. Jeff, can you see my screen okay? Okay, good deal. All right, so we have here your gallery manager. So if you are able and you want to follow along, feel free to do so. Otherwise, I'll just kind of go through that journey with you. I have already created a in-person sale. Let me open this up so you can kind of see some of those details. So within your event dashboard, you have each event type. So you have your in-person sales and you have your client galleries. And when you're setting up your IPS session, the first thing that you want to do is make sure that you are creating favorites folders for your clients. And with that, it kind of helps organize your sale. So for example, if you want to say, okay, I want a favorites folder for wall decor. I want a favorites folder for gift sizes, or maybe a favorite folders for the gift prints, just to help keep those organized. And what that does is that allows the sale to go a little bit faster, but then you can keep those favorites organized for room view or different parts of the sale. So let me go ahead and get that set up for you and show you 1 second here.
I'm gonna go get you a power cord. I'm gonna get you a power cord. You're 40%.
Okay, thank you. Okay, selling. So under selling here, you have different types of price list and requirements, different things like that. Hold on 1 second here. My apologies. I want to find this chat to make sure the chat's being covered. Okay. All right. So under culling, you have different favorite folders that you can create, and this is where you create those. So that is one section that you can do prior to your sale, and this can be part of your preset. So we do allow you to set up presets for creating each event to makes things go a little bit quicker. So if you look here, we have just a regular favorites folder. I have an album, gift size, and wall decor. So now I'm going to move on to doing the sale itself. And this is kind of going through the process really quick of ratings and favorites so that you can see where those are displayed before you create the next event, like the client gallery. So right here, each client and event is attached to an email address. So this particular client is going to have its own set of ratings and favorites. So you want to make sure that you keep that tied and synced together. And so right here, we're going to start with this particular client. And I am going to do single view sale today just for example. So we're going to start the sale, go through the slideshow, and let me know if I'm going too fast on some of this. I want to make sure that we take care of your questions. Okay, so right here, if you look here, there's a little heart up here, and that's the favorite folders. And then we have the ratings below, the smiley face and the sad face. So when I go and I hit the heart, which is the favorites, it opens up the option to click where I want that image to go in my favorites. So I'm going to say I want this in my album, and I would really like one for grandma and a wall portrait. And the same with the ratings. So when you click on the ratings, all of that information is held right here under the filter. So you have your yes and no's right here, and on all the images that have not yet been rated. So you can go through and we can rate some of these. Okay. And then your favorites folders are right here. So all the ones that I have created are in this section, and you can create another one. So maybe on the fly, grandma's favorite. So you can create that folder there. And once you do that, you have that saved right there immediately. So we can go in and favorite this, and we're going to say that's grandma's favorites. So if you see this line right here, this shows the ones that you've created previously, and these are the ones that you've created during the sales workflow. So I'm going to go ahead and place an order because I want you to be able to see the order number under the event itself. So we'll go ahead and order this. Okay, and we're going to view the shopping cart and check out. Jeff, do we have any questions so far? If you do, please feel free to jot those in there. All right, so we're going to go ahead and place this order. And now I am going to stop here. Does anybody have any questions about the ratings and the favorites and how that happens along the IPS sales process? If not, I'm going to move on. So now I have done my IPS session. So I'm going to go back to the event itself. It might just take a second here. So I'm going to click on my event dashboard. And so if you look here, I already have my in-person sales done. Now I'm going to go to the images section in the event. Here you see the email address. So that was your client that you just did the sale from. You have your in-person sales session. So if it was a client gallery, it would say client gallery, and you'll see that later. And that is tied to that specific email address. And that is the key. The email address stays with that client along the whole process with all the actions that's been taken with that email address. So if you look here, we have an IPS session, and here are all the favorites folders. So if you look, it shows the amount of favorites in each folder, as well as the ratings. And then it looks here that we made a purchase. So you click on there, it has the order number, and it also has what they purchased. So if you do want to download the images, you can at any time. But what we're going to do with this is go ahead and create a client gallery from the IPS session and that client's favorites and ratings. So now that you've seen where that information is held, do you have any questions regarding the email address tied to the ratings and the favorites and where that is within the event dashboard? No questions? All right. So I'm going to go back to the event dashboard right here. And now we're going to create the client gallery. So when I go to set up, it's going to ask me a question. Do I want to choose all the images to customize my client gallery, or do I want to choose the client's choices? And the majority of the time, you would want to create a client's choices because here's an example. And this was one of the key things that we were going to talk about is how to deliver digital files. So if you did sell digital files and how to deliver those, and maybe you wanted to do it within the client gallery, you want to make sure that you have the images that they purchased in there. So I'm going to go ahead and click client's choices. And that gives me a whole nother section of options. So do I want to just include the rated images as a yes? I do want to do that. Favorites folders, include images from the client's favorites folders. Yes. Any purchased images? Yes. And here's something that's very important to remember is to give this folder a name. So we're going to say, I'm just going to say client's favorites. And here's another key thing. If you want to hide all images, what this does is it takes away all of the images and just keeps the ones that they want to see. So you can keep that on or off. I choose to turn it off, but we can leave it on just so, let's turn it off actually. Let's hide that for now. And I'll tell you why here in just a few minutes. So I'm going to hit continue. Okay, let me pause while that's going. There are a few questions. What are those questions?
What is the main reason to make a client gallery after an IPS session?
Yeah, so, anyone who does an IPS session knows that you're going to get the most and probably the biggest sale from that in-person sale. We are looking at ways to make you additional revenue using our platform. And so the client gallery is best for a second sale or digital delivery with a cart turned on so that you can get the second sale, or for those who were unable to come to the initial sale, like grandparents or aunts and uncles. And so they can see those and go in and make a purchase. So, and it can flip flop. You can start with a client gallery. We have a lot of photographers who use it in a different way where they create a client gallery, let their clients pick their favorites, and then they do the one-on-one IPS session, whether that's in person or virtually or remotely, I should say. So, I think there is things that are missing when you do an IPS session, and if you do sell digital files in a package with products as well, you're missing that opportunity for a second sale because they're taking those files and going elsewhere with those images to print, or they're just sitting in a desk. But if you keep them in the same ecosystem and they are given that opportunity and it's right there in their face where there's a store and they can utilize room view with those features and see what it looks like in their home, you have a better opportunity and chance of them making another purchase versus just leaving with the images. So that, I hope that helps answer the question. Is there another one?
Deborah has a question.
Sure, Deborah.
Maybe I missed it, but in the last viewing, client chose favorites and then narrowed down again. Can I add a favorites to?
Yes, you can do that. How I would do that, Deborah, is probably creating a category folder. So you would add an additional folder to the event, and you'll do that under images. And when we get back to that section, I'll show you where that is. So it'd be a category folder, but yeah, it'll show up at the top and I'll show you that. But yeah.
You can watermark images in a gallery.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay. So moving on, we were selecting all the images that they had chosen. So just verifying that. And then here is your presets. And we are going to touch a little bit on the presets. You can configure quick settings or saved themes. The quick settings are so what price list do you want attached to this event, security settings, watermarking, all of those different types of settings that you would do repetitively and you don't want to do every time you set up an event. And that's the same with the saved themes. So this would be how your client views the images. So the welcome screen, the text, the colors of the event. So sometimes you want to save your studio branding themed, or if you have a senior guy or girl, or maybe a wedding theme color, just to give that look and feel. So I am going to skip this for now. We're going to do configure these manually. So you can go through and see I watermark images. So I'm going to choose watermarking, and you can change the size, the location, and the opacity of your watermark, just so you know. And we do have watermarking for IPS. So those are just a few little notes as we're going along. So I'm going to go ahead and hit next and next. All right. So here we go. It's creating the client gallery with just the client's favorites and ratings. And I did toggle off the show all images. So if you look here, when a client opens it up and views it, there is a message, but also it has the client's favor. So that is the folder name that we created when we created the client gallery. So Deborah, if you had an extra category or folder, that would show up right here, right next to it. So you can make some adjustments along the way. So here is the client's favorites. And again, they can choose their favorites and rate them and create favorites folders. Just remember, anytime there's activity within that event, it's going to be visible to you on the other side under images.
So Stacy has a question about watermarks.
Sure.
She says, do you recommend watermarks during an IPS session as well?
Some have. I personally would if I was doing it remotely. So if I was utilizing dual view and doing an IPS session that way, where I couldn't be right there with them in the room, I would probably choose to put a watermark. Some care, some don't, but even if it was just something, like this particular watermark in the bottom right corner, at least there's something, but you do have that option to put it anywhere you want to on the image. Any other questions?
That's it.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that we're staying on target, and I'm making sure that you get all the information that you came here to get. So we covered, how to rate and favorite during an IPS session, where to find those favorites and those ratings before creating a client gallery. Then we created a client gallery utilizing the favorites and the ratings. And we talked a little bit about presets and where to find that information. So after you share the client event, you can either send via email, Facebook, text message. Right now, I'm just going to copy this and I'm going to put it into my browser so you can see what the client sees when they log in. All right, there is a username and a password. And you can choose to have it password protected or not. Let me make sure I've got that set up. I apologize. I might have the password settings set up here. Access. Okay. No password required. Okay. Oh, I didn't publish it. I apologize. So you want to make sure that you publish the event first. Gosh, guys, sorry about that. So now you'll share it and you can copy that, and I'll put that in here. Thank you for your patience on that. So now once I enter my email address, so that's really important. If you log in using someone else's email address, you're not necessarily going to see those images depending on the circumstance. And we can talk about that a little bit in depth during another video. So I'm going to open this up, view photos. All right. So I'm going to see that message. And now I see only the client's favorites. Okay. All right. Jeff, am I missing anything on that?
No.
Okay, good deal.
So,
All right. Any additional questions?
okay, here's a question.
Okay, great.
Stacy, can you go back and have another IPS session after the client has looked over the gallery and wants to make more purchases? Can you sell digitals during IPS?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. And so this kind of spins us back around, and we have put in place a little bit of a security feature because we know that during the IPS session, you've created, all these favorites and these ratings, and maybe you're designing a wedding album, and all of those images that they've gone through and picked out are there, or maybe you're sending them a gallery to choose their album images, and you want to make sure you sync those back up from the original sale. You have that option. So I'm going to go back to the admin here, and I'm going to show you under images. So now when I open this email address, I now have an in-person sales session and a client gallery recorded underneath that specific email address. So when I click on the client gallery, it looks like I've rated 7 images and I have one folder of favorites. So if I wanted to, I can go back, and when I click on this, I can sync my favorites and ratings back to the very original. So when I do that, it says, copy your client's ratings and favorites so they are the same in both the IPS and the client gallery. So you can do that. And I hope that helps answer the question for Stacy. A little bit.
I think, well, no answer back, but.
Okay. All right.
So, yes, she said yes, it did.
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah, I've always been a little bit scared. So if you send something over and they mess up the ratings and favorites for something else you've already completed, and you want to sync it back, you can do that. Absolutely. So it sounds like we've got pretty much everything covered that we were going to talk about, except for the digital delivery. So I'm going to go ahead and touch base on that really quick. In the client gallery settings, we have a feature under digital downloads. And if you are offering prepaid or free downloads, and in this case, in an IPS session, if they purchase digital files, you can toggle that on. And once you toggle the free downloads, it gives you a whole nother section here of options. And so you can go in and personalize that to depending on what you're offering. So we have personal uses. We also have a required pen. So let's just say they purchased in their IPS session 20 or 10 digital files. So you can restrict it by email address. So only that person who logs into that event with that email address even sees the download button, which is pretty important. So if you want to require a pen, you can. You can restrict how many times that pen usage is used, or you can do the file limit. And this is the one that I like. I would just put in, okay, they purchased 10 within their package. So I'm going to save that, and only this email address can be used to download those. So I'm going to hit save. And this is something that you would do during that time of creating the client gallery. But I want to make sure I kind of went through the other process before I showed you this. So now I'm going to go ahead and refresh this. But because I'm logged in with my email address, I now can go in and download 10 images. So I can hit the download button up here at the top, or right here, or individually. So when I hit download, I'm going to hit agree, and I'll enter a pin and then hit download. So if they go to download more than 10 files, it's going to give them a warning sign, so they won't be able to do it. they'll have to go through the cart and pay you for that. Okay. All right. I think we have covered everything. We covered the ratings, the favorites, how to create a client gallery utilizing those from an IPS session. We talked about digital delivery, syncing, how to share the event. Is there any additional questions?
I have one from Stacy.
Okay.
Am I correct in that there is not a commission from the downloads in the gallery as long as they paid at IPS?
That is correct.
Okay.
Now, if they were to purchase a digital product, from a client gallery, depending on the plan that you're on, there would be.
Okay. Another
And
question.
Yep.
Jenny, what is the web resolution setting?
Okay, so here, let me go ahead and go back and I'll show you that. I believe it's 1,000 on the long side, and let me go back here. Oop, digital downloads. Okay, so right here, a web resolution is 1,000 pixels on the longest side. And so the original is whatever you upload to us, basically, with a little bit of compression with the same resolution. Okay. Any other questions?
Anything else right now?
Okay, well, maybe this has this been useful information for everyone? And maybe drop in the chat if there's something else you guys would like to learn. We do have our private Facebook group. If you are not a member and would like to join, just go to Facebook and look up Your InView Space. Asked to join, and we'll get that approved. There's lots of information there. There will be an option to play this video in the next 24 hours. That will be available to you to rewatch. So maybe you missed something or you want to revisit that, you can. We do have lots of help articles and support for you. Anywhere you are on the page within your admin, you click help and you can type in right here what question you might want. So let's just say room view. You want to learn more about that.
A question from Deborah as far as that web resolution. Can you change the web resolution?
Yeah, so you do have the option to customize your web resolution for paid downloads. So if you have it on your price list and you want to offer digitals, and I can show you that really quick. We do have a little bit of time, so let me go over there. But let me finish up really quick before I jump over to that. In the help section, you can type in any question that you have. And so whatever's related to that, as far as a help article, we have that there and available for you. And there's videos and live support. So if you do need us, we are here. So I'm going to jump over.
One more from Stacey.
Sure.
Lastly, can you give clients free downloads from the gallery?
Absolutely. And that's kind of what I was talking about right here, Stacy. You can just offer that automatically if you want. Let's just say it's an event or you're doing it as a favor, or if they bought I Love Them All digital package, you can just, all you have to do is turn on the ability to download. Once you toggle that on, you can tell them web or original and then save, and you don't have to do anything else. Okay, so underneath your price list for the digitals, and I'll cover this quick because that's another topic. Let me go to our gallery manager, and then we're going to go to the price list manager. So let's just take a look here at this default price list with products. And I am going to go down here to digitals. And so let's go ahead and edit this high resolution, for example. So if you select a custom resolution, we have a slider here that allows you to adjust what you want to offer as far as size and resolution to your client. Okay, I hope that answers the question for that.
And that's based upon the price list being used.
Yes, it's based on the price list. Yep, being used. All right. Any additional questions before we close? Okay, wonderful. Well, I want to thank you all for joining us today, and be sure to drop in some notes in your InView space or even here, and let us know if there's anything that you would like to learn about or anything you're struggling with, as we try to educate you and do these live demos every week, just to touch base on some of the things that are highlighted just quickly. And then of course we'll have some more education coming, but we would love your feedback. So thank you again, everyone, and you have a wonderful day. Take care.